the original multi-club fan channel. Make sure you're following us now on Spotify and Apple Podcast. The link is in the description below. Welcome back to the Top 6 show. It's the eve of in my opinion, the most famous FA Cup final in the history of this illustrious competition. We're going to be previewing that. Also looking ahead and towards some of the biggest transfers that will be happening and getting the take of the panel and your opinions in the comment section below. With Chelsea looking at both Caicedo and Ugarte together as a package, plus maybe one more. A £92 million bid expected from Arsenal for Declan Rice. Will that be enough? And maybe a wonder kid on their way to Arsenal as well. We'll take a look at Tottenham, who are about to announce a brand new manager who has less experience than Thomas Frank, but Spurs fans are loving him nevertheless. And of course, we're going to talk Jose Mourinho and the attack at the airport of Anthony Taylor by Roma fans. All that and much, much more. Please hit the like button. Subscribe and turn on the bell notifications. But my beautiful panel, how are you all tonight? How are you all diddling?
Lovely, thank you.
Can't wait for
Gucci.
tomorrow.
Yeah, man.
To be honest, I just can't wait for tomorrow.
I'm already drinking ahead of tomorrow. I can't.
Yes, I'm serious.
I'm
I'm really serious. I can't stop thinking about the game somehow, even though I'm neutral. I think this is gonna be a fantastic game, like fan-wise, everything. Everything. I'm sure there's gonna be a fight.
You've enjoyed this season with your football club. I haven't, so I just want the season to end. Get me to the transfer window already.
But you get to McAllister, man. You get a McAllister, aren't you? A whole new midfield. You should be proud.
It's so easy to be Mo on these panels. He's the only one that comes here, has no hate towards any Premier League.
You don't know that, by the way. You don't know. I always have an agenda somehow. I always have an agenda.
No, I can see hate in Mo.
No, Mo is an instigator. For everyone who doesn't know, he's going to instigate anything against your team.
What is it one of the peacekeepers said in the Hunger Games? You're an agitator. He's an agitator. An agitator. That's what he is. I love those films. They were great. Write some more books. No prequels. We want to see what happens. Anyway, I want to see what happens after. Something bad must happen. It always does in life. Lots to delve into. Before we get into the transfers, and I know a lot of viewers are coming in for that, so stay with us. If you're watching the playback, it's all time-stamped. I don't know if I really care about the result of the Europa League the other night, but I want to ask a question. Jose Mourinho today has been charged for what he did at the ground, okay? He also went chasing off after the referee. It was almost Conor McGregor-esque out the back by the buses. We then saw Anthony Taylor attacked, berated. I think maybe even physically assaulted. You saw people pushing what I believe is his wife. Should Jose Mourinho and Roma as a football club take an air of accountability and responsibility for what happened to the referee at the airport?
No. And the reason why I say no is people should stop treating people like babies. These individuals have responsibility for your actions. Mourinho was pissed off because Anthony Taylor was paid and he screwed them over in that Europa League final. And he was taking out his frustration on Anthony Taylor, who pretty much was bought for that final. Put that to one side. How is Mourinho's actions somehow responsible for those guys at the airport who stupidly and foolishly were trying to attack a man with his wife? 100%. You may be angry and so forth, but you now trying to physically assault a man with his family. That's crazy. But how are we now blaming Mourinho? So we're saying that anything that Mourinho does, the fans must now respond? No. So the individuals who were responsible for physically attacking him, Anthony Taylor is well within his rights to sue them because we're all caught on camera, sue them, and they can very easily be prosecuted. How does Mourinho now need to have a lengthy ban when he had nothing to do with the events at the airport? So I think he's already been charged for what he did after the game, which is fine. But you cannot say, let's charge him everyone because somehow Mourinho is like the foster father and has some kind of like mental hold on the Roma fans. Give me a break. No.
Yeah, but hold on. I think what Mourinho did is wrong. You can go to the press conference and blame the referee for your loss. Every coach does this in the world, but going to the parking lot and following a referee, that's completely wrong. But there is one thing that he did that he doesn't understand, that it's a big deal. And I'm going to quote what LeBron James said. When you have big audience, you have to be responsible. I'm not saying when you do that, you're not responsible for the adult men. However, you know that some people are unstable. You know that a lot of people listen to you. When you have a platform, you need to be responsible. And I'm not saying that you go and pat everybody and tell them what to do, but also as a person that you know that people will listen to you, you have fans behind you that love you and will follow you, you have to be responsible because you know people will listen to you. So he should be a little bit responsible about what he does, about his actions. Every person, each one of us, when you have friends, you're responsible in front of them. But look at this guy, has millions following him, listening to him, maybe feeding off his negative energy. And that's what instigated things. I'm not saying that he's to blame for every single person, but also he should be a little bit aware of what is going on around him in the world.
I'm sorry, no, Mourinho can't be blamed for what other people have done. When he's all he said from what I've seen, what he done after the game, yeah, bang out of order. Can't be doing that. Even though you get a little bit of a laugh out of it, ha ha ha. He's went to the parking place and tries to have a fight with the ref or whatever. Can't do that. Punish him for that. But Mourinho is not to blame for a bunch of random Roma fans attacking someone completely unprovoked in an airport. Mourinho isn't to blame for that. Not at all, because then it doesn't make sense in my head how Mourinho can get blamed for that. If that was me and I'd done something and I get punished for it, and then my mates go and do something completely, without me involved in any shape or form, why should I be blamed for that? Why should I get punishment for something other people have done, which I've had
no. But listen, Mo's not wrong. Mo's not wrong. He mentioned LeBron and his thing about when you have a big platform that you should be a little bit more responsible. Now, I'm not saying that Mourinho should be facing any legal charges because of what the Roma fans did, because he didn't point a gun to their heads and he said, you got to go abuse Anthony Taylor right now if you want to show that you support me. That's what I'm saying. But he did abuse his influence because he's highly respected by so many fans. So many fans love him. And when he comes out and he says he's a crook, he's a disgrace, this and that, people are going to listen to it. If Terry, as an example, uses his platform because he has a big audience to call out another YouTuber, and he's like, this YouTuber is a crook, he did this, this, and that. And we all, because we love Terry and we listen to Terry, we go to that guy's comments and we're like, yeah, you're a crook, you did this, this, and that. Terry is still to blame because he used his power and his influence negatively. Now, I'm not saying he told them go abuse him, but you came out and you said he basically cost us the game, and you know how passionate these fans are. So for them to go out and do that, it has to do with Mourinho. There's no way we're going to neglect it.
But then, what I will say to that then is, yes, he done it in the parking place, and that was recorded, and that's what started everything. But he had every right to believe that wasn't going to be recorded. Every right to believe that wasn't going to be recorded.
So see that, Tom? People know that they're recorded.
The situational awareness.
Tom, you know this. Now you're trying to people know, coaches know that they are recorded in parking lots. Marco Silva, when he was talking to Fred, he knows that there's somebody behind him having a cell phone. Come on, Tom.
But he was. Say, if you're angry and your adrenaline is running and so forth, you're not cognizant of stuff that's around you because at that moment in time, you're like, oh my gosh, this guy causes.
Are you allowed to go to the parking lot and follow the referee and call him a disgrace and all this stuff?
No. I'm saying no. Of course, it was wrong. I'm just saying that, at that point,
you're allowed to do that in the press conference. So correct, but are you allowed to say that in a parking lot?
No, I'm saying you're not allowed to say that. But all I'm saying, though, is that at that point in time, with Mourinho obviously being very emotional, being very passionate and so forth, I don't think he's cognizant of before I do this, let me make sure that I'm not being recorded. Because at that moment in time, when you're angry, you're not really thinking clearly. But I think back to the point that people are making, at the end of the day, he didn't go out and say, Roma fans, mount up, pitchforks, find this guy at the airport and beat the crap out of him. He didn't say that. So I don't believe that we're not in a situation where, let me not get too angry because I've got a massive platform. Let me not be too angry with this referee because if I say these things, this is wrong. But no, take responsibility for your actions. I saw fully grown men there. I didn't see kids. I didn't see teenagers there. I saw fully grown men go out and attack him. If you're saying that fully grown men are so influenced by Mourinho, then I don't know what kind of world that we're living in. Sorry, no.
It's a real interesting one for me. Staffy, you kind of mentioned me and my platform and me, if I went at somebody and people then go and give somebody abuse and whatever else. I understand that train of thought. Jose is very influential. He did something. Fans have almost echoed what he did. They were probably in a more you would probably find most of those fans that went for Anthony Taylor were intoxicated. That's my assumption, but that's what they do. The problem is, it's not until you're in that position of having a platform or being influential, and I don't consider myself influential at all. I'm talking about Jose Mourinho. That when people blame you for others' actions, it's a bit like, hang on a minute. I'm not asking anybody to. When I criticize tomorrow, I'm going to criticize a player from Man City or a player from Man United tomorrow night. When I'm criticizing that player, what I'm not asking for, even if I'm angry at them, what I'm not asking for is for people to go and give that person abuse and be nasty, or if they see them in the street, attack them. But I almost feel like when I grew up, that was just and you probably know the right word for this, Nobbins, you're more educated than me. It was a known piece of information without needing to say it. Is there a word for that? Is there a singular word you would use for knowledge that's known without having to say it? I don't know what the word is.
You could just say common sense, basically.
Yeah, common sense, yeah. And there might be I use Nobbins because Nobbins is he's a solicitor. He's very well educated. Oh. But there might be a word, and someone in the comments might have a better example of a word for it, where I almost feel like it's known that I'm not asking to go and be nasty to somebody because I'm criticizing an individual. So I get why Jose's getting stick for it, but equally, these grown men have to be held accountable for their individual behavior, and Jose needs to be disciplined for what he did. In fairness, yeah, I thought I didn't really think the referee was that bad. If I'm being honest, he probably gave away too many yellow cards, but I didn't think it was that bad. Personally, I thought if he was against Roma, why did he overturn the penalty?
Exactly, Terry. That was my point. It was so
because
easy.
He has to make it look good. Terry has to make it look good. He can't make it look too obvious.
Mourinho is just a baby, he's a man-child, and he's trying to detract.
Well, no. Mourinho is just walking with.
Go on, Nobbins.
We're giving Mourinho far too much leeway. I thought what Half Hope said was like a borderline terrible. Like, because he's angry, we're supposed to treat him like a child. He's a grown man who can take accountability. It's also not like this was in the heat of the moment. This was like a planned thing where it was like, right, I'm going to go and confront him and meet him. So it was coordinated and it was intentional. There was no sort of, as I say, heat of the moment thing where we can go, oh, it was just angry. No, he meant to do it. And what Terry just said then about the referee maybe not even being that bad. Instead of like being a baby about it and blaming the referee, why don't you blame yourself and blame the way that you set up in the match?
Please give me a break.
If you allow me to finish, that'll be sensational. If you play a style of football in which it's incredibly reactive and you're totally reliant on the other team not scoring and you just basically trying to stifle the opposition and camp behind the ball, that is literally called reactive football. That is your own fucking fault if you do not win the game. No. Yes, Mo know all about that. Typical. So if you're going to have a cry and a bitch and a whinge and go, it's not fair because the referee, it's like, grow up, mate. Maybe have some, not you have hope, Mourinho, have some introspection and actually think, maybe it's my own fault and maybe I should have set up the team differently or whatever. Or maybe just got beaten on penalties and penalties is a lottery and maybe you should stop crying about it.
Well, here's the thing. I wish that we all had managers who could rely on an oil rig and a state to build our teams, like your very own manager.
You're a Chelsea fan. You had 2 decades of that, my friend. 2 decades.
Natural Gas FC will be having less of that shite.
So, as I was saying, I just wish that we could all have managers that were backed by states and had freaking oil rigs. So, Mourinho and Nobbins' context is this. The only player that knew how to play football on the pitch was Dybala, who wasn't even fully fit. He did the best he could, and then once he now came off, all Mourinho could do with the garbage, I repeat, the garbage was that because if he tried to open up an attack, they'd be destroyed by the superior team, which is Sevilla.
Are we saying though? Hold up, but Sevilla have been awful all season long and had to bring in a manager who never managed.
Doesn't matter. That Roma, those Roma, when Sevilla play in the Europa League, they're like Kal-El, they're like Superman. Okay, they have new powers, and also, I'm sorry, that Roma team was bad. So Nobbins, if Mourinho had opened up and attacked all the way through, he loses 5-1. Because his players are garbage, you have to do the best you can with the players you have. So because I'm sorry, he doesn't have the pick of the best bunch like Pep, who can't manage a mid-tier team.
He's not talking about Pep, he's talking that he wasn't playing Pep's
He was taking
hang on a minute. He was playing a team that are 11th in La Liga. By the way, my team got humbled by Sevilla, and I watched that game, and I felt I was a little teary during the game because I watched it and thought, we are better than these two teams. We just had a very, very bad night in Sevilla. There's a super chat here that says, heavily disagree. They are adults with the ability to freely think and make their own choices. Solely on the degenerates who assaulted Anthony Taylor. Blaming Jose is shifting the blame from the real culprits. Yeah. I hear you on that. KC says Mourinho was backed by oil. Bram was a Putin puppet.
Oh, please.
KC says there. Well,
KC, go away, man.
Well, yeah, we won't get into that on the terrace. We don't. None of us have the expertise or knowledge to go through that. But viewers, make sure you're hitting like buttons for us. Make sure you're subscribing. Lots more to come on the show. As we kind of delved into Chelsea, it's worthwhile picking up on this point. So reported by The Athletic this afternoon is that Chelsea are, and I want to read this correctly. I'm going to read this verbatim, word for word here. It states that Chelsea are in the race to sign Moises Caicedo and are both active in that's actually written poorly and I'm dyslexic, and are active in deals for both Caicedo and Manuel Ugarte. Chelsea may consider adding a third midfielder after Ugarte and Caicedo complete. I'm not going to have hope first on this. Staffy.
Why not?
Chelsea, because I want to go to somebody else first. It's about rivals talking rivals. Two top-class midfielders they're looking at. Chelsea look like they mean absolute business in this transfer window again. Or do you think this should be a worry for Chelsea fans? What is your take on hearing this news?
It pisses me off. It's plain and simple. And I'm glad you went to me first. Because I have hope. I think this is the first time we do a show together. So I don't know how you're going to feel about me after this. But big up. Your club just pisses me the hell off, man. We're talking for weeks about a clear out in Chelsea. All these players that you have to get out. Okay? And yet you're talking about Ugarte, Caicedo, and potentially a third. Mind you, you just added, what's his name? Enzo Fernandez in January. And you have players that you still don't know who's going to stay and who's going to leave. And you're already thinking, how can we splash all this money again? Because Caicedo is going to cost an arm and a leg. Ugarte, I don't know how much he's going to cost. And I don't know who's the third that you were going for. I'm pretty sure you're still interested in people like Declan Rice and McAllister, all these people that are linked to everyone. What the hell is going on in Chelsea? Like, why are you going after all these players when you haven't even, like, you don't even know who's staying. Like, you haven't set up your situation with all these players that need to go.
They're on the way.
You're going to spend money. But who's going other than Kovacic? Because that's
no. Mounts is going to your club, Man United. That's about to happen. Kovacic is on his way to City. That's going to happen. Havertz to Real Madrid. That's probably going to happen. Conor Gallagher can go anywhere you want to. So, I mean, like, what's it called? Liverpool. You want Conor? You want him? Cut his price. So Conor Gallagher is going to go. Sterling is also going to go as well. So my thing though is the fact that we are going for these guys is a clear indication that there are guys already on the way out. So 100%, I don't think these owners are that stupid to be like, we're still going to keep all these guys that need to go, and we're going to bring guys in. The fact that these guys are coming in means that Gallagher, Mount, Kovacic, Havertz, Sterling, Koulibaly, they're all on the way out.
I love how you said the ownership can't be that stupid. I mean,
there's
a level of stupid you can't reach, so.
You know, that would, okay, I mean, we've seen a lot of stupidity already, so I would have put it past them to be this stupid.
Where is, because I haven't heard these stories, where are Sterling and Koulibaly going? Because they obviously only joined this year.
Well, we are working that out. We're in the process of trying to work that out, but they are on the way out. We're trying to find
don't your club have these delusions of grandeur?
Coming here every time and telling me Man City are backed by oil. But this club, man, keeps spending money left and right. Now they're going for Caicedo, Ugarte. They're going to get a striker. And then like 3 years ago, they signed like 7 players. So at least call it as it is. You're spending money left and right, but you're not as successful in the last 5-6 years as Man City.
Did we win the Champions League in 2021? Did we win the Champions League in 2021?
Fine, good, one.
Good, thank you.
One, thank you so much. So you're coming here every time I've opened telling us that Man City spend money left and right.
I know.
They are doing this and that. They are. Maybe they are. But also call out your club for spending that much money.
How much money do City spend in every single window?
Chelsea's
because here's my thing more. Don't come at Chelsea because I'm sorry, City have spent trillions and have only made 2 UCL finals. Well done. It has taken you over a decade of winning your first UCL. It took us less time. So my thing though is this:
Pep spending is in the last 2 windows you spent £700 million, and I think net sum you spent way more than Pep in the last 5 years. Net. And you're not as successful as them.
Mo, that's your math. That's your math. I have my math. You have your math. It is what it is.
Math is
1 + 1 = 3. What is that?
So
what are we doing?
Terry, in response to your question, my thing is, Ugarte, I'm not that excited about him, but I get why he's coming in and so forth. Caicedo, quality midfielder, because Terry, here's the thing. We're not, I will refuse. I will stop the Premier League kicking off if I see Mount, Gallagher and Havertz in that lineup and so forth. The Premier League will not commence if those 3 guys are in my team. Possibly throwing Sterling there as well. So for those guys coming in, there's a clear indication that Mount is going to be a United player in the next few weeks. Thank you for wasting 70 mil on a mid player. Thank you, United, so much. Thank you. And we're hearing Havertz to Real Madrid. Gallagher, I don't care where he goes as long as he goes. It'll be good. Everything will be fine. Don't panic.
I want to interject for a second. I will say this. Just we put all the salt aside for a second. Chelsea, there's a lot of links to a lot of their players leaving. So I'm not personally surprised to see them linked to 2 or 3, 4 players coming in because they need to improve in those areas. I think the realization for a lot of rivals of Chelsea is I think everyone spent far too long laboring under the delusion that Chelsea were 100% finished and gone forever because of a bad season. And I kept on saying to people, enjoy it because it's not going to last in my personal view. In my personal view, they bring in Caicedo and Ugarte and another midfielder. They bring in a killer up front with Nkunku behind him. And maybe, an improved goalkeeper. With Poch as their manager, I don't think they'll challenge for the Premier League next year. But this Chelsea team is going to be dangerous. And anybody that thought they were just going to walk off into the night quietly, seep off into a corner and never be seen again, I think are deluding themselves. Chelsea are always going to buy big. And people are here saying, what about FFP? Please, firstly, net spend ain't real. So stop looking at what they've spent and what they've sold. It doesn't work in that direct way. They've spread the cost of so many of these players over long periods of time. That can be a problem if the project doesn't work. So let's say this heavy spending at the beginning, say it does fail and they're awful this season and next season. There'll come a point where they'll be in absolute trouble and won't be able to spend large amounts of money. But because of amortization, yes, they spent 600 million last season, but they only spent about 110 million pound upfront cash. They haven't spent as much as people think they have. They're also likely, by the way, to raise nearly 300 million pound in sales and loan fees this season alone. So people, and I know this is hard for people to do, but read the full stories on your rivals before you comment on them, because you often look soppy. Because if they raise 300 million, that gives them a lot of money to then go and spend this summer still, based on everyone's net spend calculations.
Wait, sorry.
Look at it along the lines of this Chelsea team. Look, will it work or not? That's what I really want to debate. Because were they going to spend? Were they going to improve their squad? Of course they are. Are they going to be able to sell do you know what I've heard? For 9 years of being on socials and 6-7 years of doing the terrace. Every time a team don't make the Champions League, you hear the same boring,
you're not going to be able to sign anybody because you've got no Champions League football.
Never happens.
Whoa.
Equally, when you've got to get rid of players,
no one's going to buy your players.
They do. I don't understand why fans persist with this same dead banter every year. It's crazy to me personally. Chelsea are going to... I'm annoyed like Staffy. I'm just annoyed that they might pick up 2 of the best...
It's jealousy. Terry, it's 100% jealousy. I'm saying this as a hater. I'm 100% hate on them because I want these. I want these players.
But hold on.
More than that.
But sorry, why are you saying that Chelsea would challenge for the Premier League next season? I don't understand. I was confused.
You think they will?
They have to. Not about the will or so. You have to. If you've spent 600 mil and we're bringing in Caicedo Ugarte, Neymar is rumored. He's rumored. Nene is rumored. Nene is rumored. If these things happen and so forth, I expect a league trophy. I don't do top four. I don't speak top four. I don't even speak a basic top four. I speak Fluence Trophy. So don't spend all that money and get those players and the city is down top four. Heck no. The target is to win win that league. Now I get it. Man City it is what it is. There's an asterisk for those guys. But no, the main thing is to win the league, 100%.
So are you going to get 94 points next year?
Well, look, City, it is what it is. Let me not say too much stuff because we are all civil here and everything. So let me not say what I want to say about City and Pep. But all I'm saying is that we will attempt and do our best to go up against the machine that is Manchester City Football Club next season. So,
yeah, but I don't think your club will be ready next season. I think they need other stuff. Let's say you get Caicedo. Let's say you get Ugarte.
And the killer striker.
I don't believe you're going to address all your problems this summer. Because I think you've just got too many. I reckon you can sort your midfield out and you'll sort your keeper out and you'll gamble on Nkunku being able to turn into a 25-goal-a-season striker in the Premier League. Whether that works or not is a different kettle of fish. But let me ask you this, have hope. Who are the winners in your squad? Because if you want to go up against a Manchester City, you need players who are experienced, who have been in these pressure situations, who know how to get the job done, who know how to ride the pressure. When I look at this Chelsea squad next year, you've got Reece James, who's won one Champions League. Maybe that's enough. You've got Ben Chilwell, who won a Champions League. Thiago Silva. Apparently Kante's leaving. No,
there's not apparently. He's still a Chelsea player. World Cup winner, Euro winner, League winner, FA Cup winner.
But then I could just say Mason Mount's still a Chelsea.
Oh, just stop it. No, stop it. No,
I'm looking at that list that was put out there a couple of days ago of the players you want to let go of to recoup £280 million, where you're apparently getting 50 million for Conor Gallagher in there. And on that list, Aubameyang and Kante will leave him for free. So I'm not including Kante. And I don't think Kante fits if you're buying Ugarte, if you're buying Caicedo, if you're buying another midfielder on top of Enzo Fernandez as well. So when I look at that, I don't think you've got enough winners, and that's why I think your squad is too inexperienced. I think you need to go and win something beforehand. I think you need to go get an FA Cup, a Europa League, a Carabao Cup over the line first. Get that winning mentality in these players. Let them learn how it feels like to win, and then you can go challenge.
Did you have any winners, Tom, before you win the Champions League? No, that doesn't happen. It's not how it works. It's not how it works, Tom. Maybe his team, like Caicedo,
the Champions League, winning the Champions League is different. Winning a knockout competition is a different kettle of fish. Winning a knockout competition is a different.
We have a World Cup winner. Tom. In Enzo.
That's a knockout competition. League titles need consistency for 38 games. So your squad will not give that.
Tom, so how on with Poch? Remember, it's Poch's manager, not Pep. How well do you think this Chelsea team will do next year? What do you think is the maximum they can achieve? The players they're linked to and the manager they've got.
Depending on how well their transfer window goes, probably about fourth. I think that's the best it gets for Chelsea next year. I think they've got a lot to make up, and I think other teams are going to improve. This is the thing that
I hear that, and you still have hope. You say you've got the challenge, and that's a fair statement. But where are you going to finish, and who are you finishing in front of? Because Arsenal, City, of course, but Arsenal, Liverpool, United. I mean, even Tottenham that had a bad year, Newcastle, they are all ahead of you right now. Who do you see yourself finishing in front of? Where do you see yourself finishing, have hope?
The aim is to finish first.
That isn't my question. Where do you think you will finish?
Where do I think that we will finish? Yeah. If we get our targets and so forth, it's either first or second. If we get all of our targets, that's the key thing. I don't know why you guys are laughing and so forth, because maybe I wasn't clear enough before. I have standards and Chelsea have standards. You will never hear me open my mouth and say Chelsea will finish fourth. That's never happening. I'm sorry. Call me sports brats, call me a sports kid. I have grown up with standards and benchmarks, and I'm not lowering my standards to the standards of Arsenal fans or Tottenham fans. So, Terry, in answer to your question, I believe Chelsea will either win the league or they'll come second, which would be a failure, because the aim is either you give me the league or you give me the Champions League. You win in neither, that's a failure of a season. I don't do process. Okay, this isn't the Philadelphia 76ers or so forth. I'm not Joel Embiid. I am here to win now. Okay, I'm not here for, let's see, 4 or 5 years. Nobody spends 600 mil to win in the next millennium. 600 mil, I demand a trophy next
I
season.
want isn't the same as I think, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Hold on.
What you want, and I get what you want, but do you believe Poch is good enough to get you first or second in the league next year?
I can't answer that question, sir.
Exactly. There it is. That's exactly what it is, Have Hope. Because you went on and you talked about your standards and all that. And I respect that because I say the same about my team. I didn't celebrate top 4 this year. Yeah, I was bantering what's his name, Tom, because like there's a little rivalry right there. But I expect us to win the league as being Manchester United. But that doesn't mean that I am aware that we are nowhere near it. And that's what you need to say because that is your expectations. That's your standard. You're definitely like one of the older Chelsea fans looking at you by like judging by your age. So you've been there for the glory days. So I respect
Sorry, Terrace. I turned 19 in October. I turned 19 in October.
Like you're not a 12-year-old.
I turned 19 in October. I'm still a teenager.
Okay, so as 19 years old, 9 years ago, you were watching your team going to win the leagues and stuff. Like no, that's not what I'm trying to say. Like we're all here old enough to have watched our teams at least when they were good. So that's what I was trying to say about him. But that's different than when you are right where you are right now. There's no way you can convincingly tell me that next season with Poch coming in, he still didn't even have a training session with these guys. You didn't even know who your starting 11 is going to be next year. So all this is still up in the air. And you're going to sit here and tell me I expect first because second is a failure. Let me tell you something. Unfortunately, since we're the top 6, there's 5 failures every season because that's how competitive it is up there. There's 6 teams going for it every year. So 5 of us are going to be looked at as failures, whether you actually did your job and came short or you were just utter shit and still finished in the top 6. So someone is going to fail. But there's no way you can sit there and convincingly tell me that this team is going to be good enough to finish first or second next year. Because I'll tell you this, if you finish second next year, I'll sit here and applaud you personally because there's no way this team is going to go up 10 places. You're 12th. So you're going to second next year. That's 10 places. No way you're beating 10 teams next season.
But they went from 10th to being top of the league 1 year. That happened.
Okay, so I'm happy you mentioned that.
let me explain.
No. Hold on, Mo.
Because Nobbins asked him, "Are you going to make 94 points?" And his answer is, "If I sign my players, I think that we can go and challenge for the league." It doesn't have to be like he's going to win it but maybe he will lose it at the end.
He said
he's not. He's just saying. I see his point. If you spend that much money, you should aim to challenge for the league, especially you're signing an experienced manager that coached 5-6 years in the league before. They are signing superstars in Caicedo that everybody is jealous because they're going to get him. So I see his point. Is it realistic that they're going to go first or second? Maybe not. But also with that much money, if they get another striker next to Nkunku and they sell these players, they should be going to this season at least aiming for the top 4, if not challenging with that much talent in their squad. They should be going to aim.
Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you, Mo. I'm sorry to disappoint you, Mo. There's not. We don't put 11 bags of money on the pitch. We don't put 11 bags of money on the pitch. You put 11 players. By the way you said it, Maguire should have been the best defender in the Premier League. I'm gonna tell you why.
So let me tell you why I think that. Kukurea, experience in the Premier League. He had a bad season. He might not have a bad season next year. Chilwell, if he's fit, he's good enough to be in the top of the league, right? Reece James, one of the best right backs in the league. They have
in the world.
Absolutely. They have Enzo Fernandez, fantastic. Caicedo, great. Squad-wise, it's fantastic. Give Pochettino. I'm not a greatest fan of Pochettino, but if you're talking about how the club is run, they got an experienced manager with a squad. Give him the summer. They should be able to go higher in the league.
That's the same manager that you told me wasn't good enough, Mo.
I'm telling you now he's not good enough. And I'm telling you from a Chelsea perspective, they signed this manager to challenge to get them up higher in the league. Their squad is not 12th in this league. You want to tell me that this Chelsea team is 12th in the league? It's not. And also with additions of excellent players like Caicedo. Terry said they're linked to Caicedo. Ugarte. I didn't see enough of this guy, but they're telling me that Paris Saint-Germain wanted to sign him, right? Ugarte, this Nkunku, amazing striker in the Bundesliga. They're going to sign another striker. They have Raheem Sterling, who won before. He had a bad season, but under Pochettino, who is telling me that Raheem Sterling is not going to bang goals next year? You're guaranteed this? Go ahead.
No. I'm not saying he won't. I'm saying he won't bang goals next year.
I'll tell you right now, Raheem Sterling ain't doing it. For me, every single thing that we're given here from this Chelsea with that money they spend, they should be challenging for the league. It should be. It's not a process anymore. It's not a process. It's not Saliba is 21 years old or Ben White who's shifted from centre back. They're getting Enzo Fernandez, Caicedo. They're getting Kunku. Come on, guys.
They're all young, though. They are all young signings in the same way that Ben White was a young signing and Saliba was a young signing, and they were a class as a process. Yes, the money they've spent, they are going about their process in a completely different way than what a traditional process is. But your expectation might be to challenge for the league title next year. Might be. But you are not making a 50-point swing. You are not making a 50-point swing next year. There's no chance,
bro. Yeah, there's no chance.
Finished on
No. But you have to listen to what Mo said. This season was an anomaly. This squad isn't. Let's just say this squad is not 12th place. This was just a total freak of a season. It was a freak of a season.
But you haven't challenged for a league title now in 7 years.
And things will change. Yes, I know that's been a long time, but I think things will change. But again, I think basically Mo is literally. I think this is probably the first time me and Mo have actually agreed on anything. So, but Mo, he's right there with me. You can't spend that amount of money and be like, all right, hey man, fourth the ceiling, yeah guys, let's get fourth. No, sorry. If you spend that amount of money, you have to go all the way, because Tom, if Klopp spent 600 mil on 21-year-olds, 22-year-olds, one 21-year-old won the World Cup, would you be happy with top four?
Well, again, no. But I would understand that's probably where we're going to finish.
But you wouldn't be happy with it still.
You're basing your predictions on how much you spend. Now, I'll hold you to that. I want to go to some super chats. Sorry to interject, Thomas. There's a lot to get through here. First one says, his team got 30-odd points this year. Stop the cap is what Matrix says here. Derek says half hope. That's a great name. Derek, honestly, that is one of the best super chats we've ever had.
No, it's not. Terry, no, it's not. No, it's not.
Yeah, I love it. Half
Imagine
hope.
It's just a typo and he didn't mean to do that.
Yeah, he might have meant it. Half hope. I love you, bro. Sometimes your takes are horrible, but the standards is the standard. I understand there is a rebuild, but we aim higher, is what Derek says. Half hope. That's what your name is now. This ain't freaking FIFA. This squad is still young and inexperienced. They are going to need time to develop chemistry for one another. We didn't spend all that money on superstars.
You don't spend 600 mil for a 10-year process. That's BS. I'm sorry. I will not accept. Never.
There could be a balance. It doesn't need to be 10-year, and it doesn't have to be next year. You could.
Yeah.
If you would have told
me
it
has to be next year. It has to be next year.
You're only saying that because of the price. If Enzo cost you 50 million instead of 120, and your expectation changes, but just because of the price tag, then that's not ball, my sir. Like that's literally just like money. You're talking like money. You should be
looking at like squad value rather than at squad price.
Yes.
When you make your assessments on how good your team is.
That would be a better assessment, yeah.
That should always be the assessment, because it's like Robertson. No one looks at him as a £8 million left back, do they? No one looks at Trent as a free of charge right back. They look at him at what his value is. Like Haaland, he's not a £52 million striker. He's a £252 million striker. The Blue fan come back again and said Chelsea haven't challenged for the league since 2017 because of terrible recruitment. Gee, I wonder who was responsible for hiring scouts, is what my guy says. Chelsea man, thank you, Blue, by the way, says, I said it before and I'm saying it again. Please bring a decent Chelsea spokesperson. Don't be so irrelevant. Always being embarrassing on representation.
Terry, can I respond to this? See, here's the thing. Chelsea man, or whatever the heck you're called and so forth, all because I don't come and sound like Alex Goldberg or any of these parrots out there who just spout the things you want to hear, doesn't make my appearance. See, my appearance here is needed because I don't tell you what you want to hear. I tell you what you need to hear. So sit down, have a coffee, and listen to me telling you the freaking truth, rather than those bozos who speak crap and BS. I'm telling you the truth. Don't argue, just accept. Thank you.
Respect, have hope, guys. Come on. We love
Thank you.
Let's just get things straight. We don't think that actually Chelsea, but their expectations is to challenge for top four, being close to the top. But I don't think it's going to happen because I don't back Pochettino at all to get this going. It's only Chelsea fans now that like Pochettino. Like, you guys think that he's going to take it to the top. I think it's going to be a process still. But with that much money, you should be challenging. With that much money, you should.
JJ here says, "What's Stevie Wonder smoking on? Pass it on," is what JJ says.
Man, that joke got older 3 years ago.
Fairness, man's 19 with no hair. Stevie Wonder's about 18. He's got hair and dread still, bruv. So let's not disrespect Stevie like that. I love you, Stevie. Best concert I ever went to is Stevie Wonder. The best. Let Chelsea win a game of football first. They could barely scrap two halves, even if they spent 600 million. Joseph says, we don't claim this guy as...
I don't claim you, Joseph W. Joseph L. Rather Joseph L. Call him Joseph L. No. Wait, sorry, put up that dub again. Joseph L. Joseph L. You dumbass loser, man.
Memphis Depay here, maybe the real one. Says Chelsea fans are so deluding themselves into thinking that other clubs will pay the price for their trash. But we'll say that Chelsea fans keep saying 80 million, 70 million for Mount. It's probably going to be about 50 to get it right.
60.
That's still too much, but it's not going to be as much as they say. My guy G, long time no see, brother. He says, as a Chelsea fan, the biggest problem or worry I have is not having a big enough cup for all these tears. Keep the blue flag flying high. Thank you, G. Blaze, a long-term viewer of the terrace, says, guys, don't argue with have hope when it comes to Mourinho. It's like arguing with Igao about Arteta. Just watch Chelsea skip all those phases to be back at the top, is what he says there. Derek's back again, says, Terry, I think before you ask people about Chelsea, you should make sure they are doing their research. People just get on here and talk BS. I did kind of say that, but... Staffy, it takes 2 seconds to research that we have players already on their way out. Why is everyone so bitter? Especially that hypocrite Mo. You wouldn't try if you had.
Why the chat so feisty today?
What do you expect me to research? I see all these news about these players coming in and out. You actually think all these players are going to leave and all these players are going to come in? What do you want me to research? I see the news every day. I need to see actual results. I want to see this player, XYZ, have left the club and XYZ came in. Don't tell me to research when it's all in front of us, but we don't know what's actually going to happen. But thank you for the super chat.
This is top six beat every other team, and you beat City. Stop, is what Sam Lowe says. Thank you. See here. Says, it boggles my mind when people think we can't get rid of 10 to 15 players and do our business as well. These owners will take several L's on value, but still make 200 million to reinvest. I can't pronounce that word. Is that Vivel?
Yeah, Vivel, yeah.
Well done, Terry. Vivel and Cole are in control.
But then, same breath, aren't other teams going to realise that Chelsea have now got money, so they're going to just put their prices up because they know Chelsea have to spend?
No, they won't. Tom, no, they won't. No, they won't.
I'm not really worried about the money side, but I look at it more as are they improving or are they not? But it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Chelsea. No doubt about that whatsoever. We are going to move on to Arsenal because there's been some breaking news in the last few minutes regarding Declan Rice, and we'll bring that all to you very, very soon. But I wanted to ask you all a question. Melbourne victory and, I don't know, Brisbane Bombardiers and Sydney Slaughterers. Is that the kind of CV you need to manage Tottenham? Because they're about to appoint, and I want to pronounce his name right. Is it Postecoglou? Someone say it faster than that. Postecoglou, that's the one. Spurs are about to appoint him. I see a lot of their fans buzzing. Bring me him in. They didn't want Thomas Frank because Thomas Frank wasn't experienced enough. This guy has been managing Socceroo teams, and he managed a team in Japan, and then he went to one of the worst leagues in Europe and did what everybody but John Barnes does and dominates in that league with Celtic. Is he good enough? Is he good enough for Tottenham?
Yes. Let's not... People put Tottenham on a pedestal that they don't deserve to be on. Their best manager in the Premier League era's CV was Espanyol in Southampton, which is still a country mile better than what Postecoglou's is. But when Tottenham get big managers who have a big CV behind them, they struggle. Their best manager before Poch was Harry Redknapp, whose crown jewel was Portsmouth. Tottenham are a top six club by heritage and the fact that they used to be good years and years ago. That is why they're there, because they don't operate like a top six club. They work best when they operate like a mid-table club and capitalise and look out on certain things. That Tottenham are better off. the reason why they like Postecoglou is because they love their storylines. Oh, we get the young he's not even young, is he? He's actually old, but we get the scrappy manager who's, never done anything before, and he has his breakout with us, and then he moves on to a Chelsea, like most of them do. Like, it doesn't... Tottenham don't have it. They don't have that order. Their best managers and their best players come from clubs that are smaller than them. And they are the smallest of top six. So he's probably a good appointment for them. Luis Enrique wouldn't work based off how the last couple of ones have went.
You see, like for me, like no, I totally agree with Thomas that look, it's Tottenham. Like Levy has shown that their standards are in hell. It's a freaking basement. But what makes us interesting though is because I've been hearing reports. So is Harry Kane going to stay and be coached by a guy who just coaches no-name teams? I mean, that's an L. Because I think we will assume that, okay, Harry Kane, well done for stats padding and receiving cobwebs as trophies. But can you now move to a club and actually play under pressure? Let's actually see whether your goals can mean something, because you can score 3,000 goals. Last I checked, I opened your trophy car cabinet and I got attacked by Spider-Man because there's so many cobwebs up in that thing. So, but the issue though is that if Kane stays with this no-name manager, even if it's just for a year, the optics on that are just going to be horrible, because if this guy gets hired, this should be an even clearer indication of like, I'm out. Now, I don't know what Levy will do and everything, but for if he comes in, this should be an indication to Kane that, okay, I thought you weren't serious before. Now you're really not serious. Now you're really taking the piss. And now you're pretty much spitting at the face of my hard efforts and the quality I've brought to you guys. Because by you hiring this manager, it shows that you have zero ambition whatsoever. And for a man of my talents, I cannot be part of this sinking ship, or rather this ship that is going nowhere. So I want him to be hard because I now want to know what Kane is going to do. Because if he's hard, Kane has to force him off. He has to literally take a nuclear warhead to leave his office. But look, move me now. Move me now, or something's going to happen. So yeah.
I want to say this about the manager, right? He has a 53% win ratio in his career. That's been heavily increased. His best ever is 73% in the last 2 years at Celtic. You remove Celtic because they have a monopoly in their league, along with Rangers. And if you actually look at Rangers and Celtic, when they're at their pomp in recent years, they both have massively high win percentages. Even if they come second in the league, they barely lose games. It's normally only to each other and the occasional loss to another team. So it's an anomaly. Average managers do well in that league. We've seen it. He averages at Yokohama, managing Australia, Melbourne Victory, Brisbane Roar. Some teams' names I can't even pronounce. I'm not even going to lie to you. Something Zebras, the Australians under 20s, and South Melbourne. He averages 46% win ratio. Just 46% of his games he wins. He's never managed in one of the top 4 leagues in Europe. He's never managed, I believe, he might have played in the Champions League with Celtic, because obviously Celtic have been there. But he hasn't really done much. He hasn't really progressed in terms of that. He has no real experience at the highest level, and he's about to come into a league that has more TV viewership, more media attention than any other league or sport on planet Earth. None get the media attention that this gets. I just don't see how he delivers, personally. And the bit that really confuses me, his style of football's nice. But we had Tottenham fans, coming on this show saying Thomas Frank ain't experienced enough. Rodgers hasn't done enough in the game. Potter, what's he done? Oh, he hasn't got the CV. And they're accepting this dude who managed a team with the name Zebras in it. He managed a team. Something is shady with this. It has to be shady, right? It doesn't feel right to me. It has to be something shady with this. You cannot tell me that Harry Kane will stay 1 year. You're looking to invest a little bit in the squad. You're looking to improve your squad. And then you hire a manager that I've never heard his name before the show. It was just show that I heard this guy's name. I'm looking at the news. I'm like, who is this guy? And then you're telling me you want a seat at the top 6 table and Newcastle is not going to shift you? You're not serious. They're not a serious fan base. They're not a serious club. Nobody's serious at that club. Harry Kane should go. He should go. Son should leave. I think this team should get dismantled. I'm sorry. You're going from Antonio Conte, yes, he failed at your club, whatever. Mourinho,
and then Pochettino, and then you go to this guy. What? I've never heard of this guy. Who is this guy? Who is that?
Well, I have news for you guys.
Strange. And then I'm just puzzled by Tottenham fans on Twitter saying, "Yeah, he plays good football. Good football, my ass. Let's get a man that can win." No, I'm serious, bro. This is seriously.
I just want to say that team with the zebra's name, right? They're now called Brunswick Juventus FC. Okay, they changed their name.
Oh, wow.
When he managed them, they were called Whittlesea Zebras.
Where is that? That's
Australia.
Listen, well, that's what I was gonna say. I have news for you guys. My cousin lives in Melbourne, so maybe he can send us like some recruiting report for this guy, because I have never heard of this guy before. And the fact that he's going from Celtic to Spurs absolutely means nothing to me, because, as you said it perfectly, Terry, they have a monopoly over the league. So he's basically managing the Man City of Scotland. Let's be honest, you know. So you're telling me you're taking him out of the Man City of Scotland, the best team in Scotland, and you're putting him in the 8th best team in the Premier League with no experience in England.
But managing,
it's just a joke.
I don't even want to sound horrible. Managing in Scotland's easy. Look how bad Gerrard was at
exactly. No, you're right.
You're dominating the Scottish league.
Wow. Steven Gerrard played a part in getting Aston Villa into Europe this season, mate. I'll have you know.
By the way, most of these guys won multiple league titles, right? Look, since 2005, this has been the managers that have managed Celtic and won the majority of the leagues up there. Gordon Strachan, Tony Mowbray, Neil Lennon, Brendan Rodgers, Neil Lennon again, and now this guy. What did any of those guys, look, Brendan Rodgers, fair enough, won an FA Cup and he got into a title race, okay? What did any of those other guys do? What did any of them do when they were in the Premier League? Nothing.
But exactly, Terry.
Using what he's done in Scotland as a barometer is a madness. It's a madness. It really, really is.
You know what I think it's coming down to? They've wasted so much money recently on sacking big managers like Conte and Mourinho and Poch right before them, and even Nuno in the middle. I feel like at this point they just have to go for small managers, because number one, the big manager project failed because you never backed them. So you've had two very big managers back to back fail in this club, and you had to pay them more to fire them than when they were actually in the club. I feel like at this point they just have to go for a small manager, because like he's gonna cost them nothing. We all know Spurs care about the state of the club financially more than footballing wise, because they never invest in the club properly to have a footballing team. They just care about how much money they make. And at this point, just there's no point of getting any more big managers. What are they gonna do? What is any big manager gonna come in and do that Conte couldn't do and Mourinho?
You know, Staffy. Do you know? I think Spurs went for this guy because they didn't want to embarrass themselves one more time after every manager rejected them. Yeah. They went for the guy that they know definitely he's gonna take the job. Because this is the only explanation here for me. Even Arne Slot didn't want to go to the club. Didn't want to sign. He signed an extension with Feyenoord. So for me, maybe they went for that guy because this is the only one on the table that they knew 100% he would accept the job.
100%. But viewers, we want to know what you think, what you feel about this. Make sure like buttons are being hit as well, by the way. So some interesting news has broke in the last little period. So we know that Arsenal next week are going to submit a £92 million bid for Declan Rice. But some reports have come out of Germany in the last few moments. There was a lot of talk that he's kind of rejected Bayern Munich. But the report that's come out from the chief reporter there at Sky, I think his surname is pronounced like Pelletenberg, something like that. Pelletenberg or something like that. I can't pronounce it right. He's probably got a German accent on it. Who has said that Rice's meeting in London with Bayern Munich went well. Rice has given the feeling that he can well imagine a move to Bayern Munich. Bosses are discussing him in the last few days. And Bayern are also preparing an official bid for their next step. So it appears that once West Ham play their game next week, the official bids are coming in. Man United are looking at him. We know Arsenal will consider the front runners. Bayern Munich coming in. Question: are Arsenal going to be able to see off Man United and Bayern Munich and land their number one target, Declan Rice? What are we saying?
They should do. 100% they should do. They are the most attractive club out of the three. Realistically, for Declan Rice, gets to stay in London, gets to play for a Champions League club that is, title challengers, and there's a guaranteed ready-made spot for his skill set in that Arsenal team, replacing Granit Xhaka. The difference will come when these big clubs, Bayern and Manchester United, don't sit there and try and negotiate over £10 million. Bayern Munich aren't going to sit there and go, oh, well, you want 92, but we're only going to pay 86, and then we'll try and do the rest in a roundabout way. Bayern Munich will sit there and go, you want 92, here's 92. And that's how they get deals done. Arsenal cannot keep affording to miss out on top targets. That has been the story of the past 3 transfer windows. That has been the story. And they've got good replacements. But when you're going for the elite of the elite, and I think Declan Rice has all the potential to be one of those, if he's not there already in terms of the Premier League, there isn't the drop off beyond that is too big, too big. If they believe Declan Rice is their number 1 target, that offer should have went in by now. It doesn't need to be. It doesn't need to be. Sealed, signed, sealed, delivered. Everything done, announced. That can wait. But make sure that it's there on the table, so that none of this stuff about buying, circling round or United circling round can even affect you. Have the money there, put the offer in, and get the player.
I disagree.
If he wants to join, he'll pick you.
You're not. Respectfully, I disagree with you. I don't think you turn down the biggest club in England, the biggest club in Germany, because all what you just said about Arsenal. Mind you, I mean, I don't really think he comes to United, but even with Mason Mount going to United and there being interest from United, if Mount is there, he's calling him up. He's like, join me. Let's do this here. We can do something here. Or if not, you have Germany. We have Bayern, where you're guaranteed to win the German league almost every year. You're guaranteed Champions League football every year. And you have a chance to compete for the Champions League every year. Plus, the wages that he will be offered, especially in Man United over Arsenal, come on, like we all know. I'm not really proud of it because we overpaid for a lot of players, but a lot of the players come in and you're set for a while. You get the best contracts, the best wages when you go and play for Manchester United. I really don't see him going to Arsenal at all. And that was before the Bayern link, by the way. It's just like my opinion this whole summer since I heard it.
The thing about Declan Rice, if he doesn't go to Arsenal, it will be because of personal terms not agreed. Because I'm looking at Bayern wage bill, and the wage bill is so high. They give good wages, so this guy, there is no logical reason this guy would leave London, would leave Arsenal. He's guaranteed a spot. He's going to play in the Champions League. He's going to be probably a starter for England if he goes to Arsenal. At Bayern Munich, there's a lot of competition around you in the midfield. And Jamal Musiala, Goretzka, Kimmich, and the list goes on. Who knows who else they're going to sign? I think, in my opinion, the only reason is that Arsenal are not doing their business, their work, which is agreeing the personal terms with the players. Here's how much we're going to give you. You're coming to our club. This is the project we're presenting to you for the future. Come and join our club. You're a centerpiece of this. Otherwise, why you're not joining Arsenal until this moment? Why we're not hearing everything that comes out of every single reporter is almost Arsenal almost agreeing fee for Declan. Arsenal almost agreeing personal terms. Why it's not concrete, as Tom says, unless Bayern are offering more wage and this guy's going for money.
I don't necessarily think it's that though. No one has put their official bid in yet because West Ham have said they're not negotiating that level of that part of the transfer until after their final, which is acceptable. You very rarely see teams negotiate the sale of their best players when they're still in title races or in cup finals. Very rarely do you see that. There's talk, and there has been talk since January, that personal terms have been agreed. But the problem is when people say that, they think it's cast iron and they don't listen. They don't read the rest of the articles. Now, I speak about it from a fan point of view because I've seen it so many times. He may have said yes to what Arsenal have offered him. But if Bayern then offer him more, then he might turn around to Arsenal and go, "Now you've got to offer me more because they've increased the offer." There's a journalist who I quoted this week when I said that Chelsea had agreed personal terms with Manuel Ugarte because he had stated it. He then come to me and said, "Can you delete it, please?" I was like, "Oh, did you get bad information?" He'd publicly tweeted it already, by the way. It wasn't like I was just kind of quote tweeting him.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
And he turned around and said, "I didn't get bad information, but the club has essentially," what he alluded to is the club has now changed their offer into Ugarte. So they're now renegotiating again. Then all the stories came out that PSG had offered double. Now Chelsea are back in offering him more money again. These things happen all the time. And I'm not saying Arsenal will reduce their offer. But if Arsenal offer him $250 a week and he says, "Yes, I'm well happy with that. I'll sign that contract if you can get a deal done with West Ham." But then Man United and Bayern Munich come along, go, "There's 300 grand a week." That's not Arsenal's fault in the short term, is it? Arsenal can't be blamed for somebody else increasing their offer. What you can then argue is if Arsenal then go, "No, we're not paying it," walk away and sign a substandard alternative, that's where I think the criticism can maybe come in, because you maybe you have to increase your offers if you want to get your number one targets. But I don't think Bayern Munich getting involved is unexpected. Man United getting involved, I don't think we'll land him either. I agree with you, Staffy, but I don't know. For me, I don't think there's anything wrong that Arsenal have done so far, because West Ham have said we're not negotiating until our season ends, and their bloody season doesn't end until next Thursday. So it's just going to take a bit of time, I think.
Yeah, these top players, they're going to want more than just one club after them. There's going to be Europe's elite after them, so it's going to take time. But when I look at it, Declan Rice doesn't strike, I don't know him personally, but he doesn't strike me as someone who's motivated by purely the money. I think that if he's offered a very good footballing project, he would take a slightly lower offer for that much better football project. And at Arsenal, as much as I don't think they're ready yet, I think that's a fantastic footballing project for him. I think it's a good young core which he can come into, be one of the more experienced players in there, give them a bit of much needed leadership at times. When I look at United, he'd go into United and be good. Declan Rice will go into any team and be good. But if you're getting Mason Mount, then is Declan Rice going to start every game, or are you going to bench your £70 million Mason Mount every game? And Bayern, I mean, him and Kimmich would be a ridiculously good pairing in the midfield, but does he want to leave England yet? The way I look at it, I think Arsenal are the best project for him, all things considered, barring how much he's going to get offered wage-wise. And if that's what it comes down to, then fair enough to him. But I think the most logical decision is he goes and joins up with Mikel, if Arsenal actually decide to act like a big club and put the money down for him.
Firstly, I would like for you to stop saying 70 mil for Mount, because it hurts me personally. I'm going to start a hashtag in the comments, Staffy's mental health matters, because the more you mention that price, the more I get upset.
Yeah.
But let's ignore that for now.
It's more like 50 million, but you know what rivals do with Man United? They always increase what we spend just for kicks.
Whatever it is there, I just don't want to hear these words. I've had enough.
There is a super chat here, actually, sorry, that says, and this is true again, people ignore these stories. From West Ham fan site, it's one of the best named fan sites out there. It's called Claret and Hugh. The guy that runs it is called Hugh, very good. He states that Rice's agent, who's his father, has been in intensive talks with Arsenal recently, who are now the very strong favourites to sign. It means Rice, the Rice, and that still remains the same, even though Bayern Munich are chasing him. I still think I personally think he stays in London. Like, from your point of view, Don, if he goes to. Would you be upset to see him at Arsenal as a player that's been linked to Chelsea for so long? To see him at one of your biggest rivals, would that hurt you at all? Or with your links to Ugarte and Caicedo, are you not too bothered?
Yeah, I'm not too bothered as long as we do what we need to do. Like, if we get Ugarte and Caicedo, I'm not fussed about it. Declan Rice, I've wanted him for a while, but again, there's other players with the same level of quality or even higher potential than him that we can get at the moment. Caicedo's a top player. Arsenal want him as well. They want Rice and Caicedo, and we're looking to get two midfielders in Ugarte and Caicedo. So as long as we get that sorted out, I'm not too fussed about Declan Rice. But what I will say is, honestly, I don't see him going to Bayern Munich at this stage in his career. I think it will be between United and Arsenal, but I do think that Arsenal have been putting the groundworks in. I've been hearing that they've been speaking with him as of January, getting things sorted out with him there. You see all these clips with him and Odegaard and that, like speaking to the players behind closed doors and whatnot. But the only thing is, if Man United want him, I think there's a possibility of you getting him. You just have to move quick. You have to hope that you're going to hear something about the ownership quickly. And I think if United put a serious offer on the table, I do think that Rice will think about it. I don't think it's going to be Arsenal completely that are going to get him. I think they're the favourites. But if United want him, they have to move quick, because I think he'll actually have something to think about there if a serious offer actually comes in for him. Because I think
if Caicedo goes to Chelsea, if Caicedo goes to Chelsea, which is looking likely based on what we talked about earlier, I highly doubt Man United will go this summer with just signing Mount. So if he goes to Chelsea, they'll definitely go in after Rice.
You'll definitely be in for Rice. And one thing about it, don't matter if you get the Qataris or if you get Jim, they're going to want to impress in their first window. Look at Todd Bowley with us. You know what I mean? The money that he spent was unprecedented, but it's his first season here. He wanted to impress the fans. It's going to be the same thing with you guys. As long as the ownership gets announced, you're going to hear a lot more about United wanting to get Rice. So I think I do think Arsenal's still the favourites, but I'm not going to rule out United. They could hijack this deal, in all honesty.
I just saw the Mudryk example in January, and we all saw how much Mudryk worked for Arsenal. He was posted on his Instagram story and stuff, and everyone thought that deal was done. And then they cheaped out and he went to Arsenal. I have this PTSD with Arsenal, and I'm not even an Arsenal fan, that this just always happens. I'm sorry if this is going to piss off Arsenal fans. I pissed you off last week, and here I am to piss you off again. It's just what your club does. You go for these strong links. Players want to come to you, and someone else stronger comes in and flexes harder their money, and they just take them from you. Chelsea were not a more attractive project in January when they got Mudryk. You guys were first place, and you still managed to lose a player to Chelsea. So what makes me
the only
think
sticking point
that you would?
the only sticking point I would say is that the Rice has had a kid recently. I don't know if he's going to want to up a move to Manchester. That's the only sticking point I would say. It would be a lot easier for him to remain in London in a project which is only going to get better. The trajectory is still high. But at the same time, United do have a positive trajectory as well, because it looks like, Murta and that, it looks like they're actually doing things now in comparison to what they were doing last season. Obviously, you've got the new ownership coming in. So even with work, like if you've got a new manager coming in, you're going to fix up if you weren't doing things properly before. So I do think that United will be on the up. It don't matter what ownership you get. I would prefer if you get Jim Ratcliffe, in all honesty, because I do think he'll be a little bit more reserved than the Qataris. But you need to get that quick so you can be in there for Rice, because I don't think
I have a genuine question. Does
go
friendship affect the decision of a player? Because if Mason Mount goes to Man United, we know he's very good friend with Declan Rice. Does that affect his decision at all? If both clubs offer the same money and they have similar projects, does that affect his decision at all? We know that a lot of players, they say, yeah, I talked to my friend to come to this club. Like, we hear this all the time. Does that affect his decision at all?
To an extent. I mean, look, Chelsea fans were clutching at straws when we were linked to Rice. He wants to link up with Mount. It's his best friend. But I always said, like, take that with a pinch of salt. A player's going to make a decision based on what's best for them. They're not going to look at their friend and make a decision to say, oh, I want to go play with Mason. That's not going to be the reason why he goes to United if you do sign Mason Mount. It's going to be more than that.
But that's what you just said, Don. You said that there is talks behind in the back rooms and stuff between Declan Rice and Odegaard. So you're saying...
Yeah, no, but I'm not saying that as a factor. I'm just saying I've seen videos of him speaking to the Arsenal players and that, and you see these little videos. I'm not saying that's the reason why he's going to go.
That's what I mean. I've seen this with Liverpool and Bellingham all for a couple of years.
Yeah. I think for me, I just think that Arsenal have put all the groundwork.
Sorry, Tom.
They put all the groundwork in. I think the project's been sold to him. I do think he wants to go Arsenal, but again, I wouldn't rule out United. I think if they get that ownership sorted out, I think Rice will have a serious decision to make, and United, they're in there 100%.
So I gotta have a say about this, and I'm not sure if anybody will think about it this way. He goes to Bayern Munich. He guaranteed winning trophies. At Man United and Arsenal, both are not guaranteed in the near future to win trophies. Bellingham was there, who is close to Declan Rice as well from the national team. He will ask him about Munich. He will ask him about Germany. Munich is one of the most amazing cities in the world, of course. Great city, very rich. And he's going to one of the most prestigious clubs in the world. And he is young. So why are people saying that he doesn't want to leave England? Bellingham, we said the same about Bellingham. And at the end, he chose Real Madrid. So why not thinking about Bayern Munich?
He's got options in the Premier League. Like at this stage in his
Bellingham
career,
did as well. Bellingham did.
Yeah, but it's Real Madrid.
Bellingham wasn't leaving England to go to Real Madrid. Bellingham had already left England.
He's already left England. I don't think Declan Rice at this stage in his career is going to leave England. I don't think he's going to leave London, let alone leave the country. You know what I mean? So that's how I see it. That's my take on it.
I don't think there will be smoke without fire. I think Bayern Munich might be serious because I'm hearing the reports all the time about Bayern Munich interested in him. I think that his best option is to go to Arsenal because he's guaranteed. I think he's guaranteed.
Yeah, but Mo, what you have to think, right? Right now, Arsenal, yes, they have had an amazing season and their trajectory looks insane, right? But you have to look at the overall project in the next 5 years. Who do you think is going to win more major trophies? Do you want to work under Mikel? Do you want to work under Ten Hag? Because if Ten Hag's given the tools that's needed and the environment is sorted out for him, it's so similar to Chelsea. The environment is so important and he gets that back in. There's no guarantee that Arsenal are going to win more majors than United in the next 5 years. So as much as Rice is going to go to somewhere which is more stable in Arsenal right now, United can still have an attractive project to sell to him. So that's what I'm saying. If United go in there, there's no guarantee that he'll pick Arsenal over United. You have to look at the bigger picture. football's not played in just one season. You have to look at the whole, the whole project, what you can win the next 5 years. Who do you think is going to win more majors in the next 5 years?
Yeah, but if the takeover doesn't happen soon enough, United is still an unstable
that's
place.
it. That's the main thing.
It's a very
takeover
place. I'm thinking that Arsenal, if they present, I still think that if they present him a good project with like, these are our targets this summer, we're gonna get them. There is no way that you can tell me that Arsenal won't be better than even this year with Rice and even better players. And if they sign what they're looking for, I think they're gonna be in a better place than this year. Otherwise, I'm just speculating that I'm speculating that Saka's gonna be worse, Odegaard, and I'm not gonna just sit here and assume something. I'm just looking at the givens, and the givens say that Arsenal, if they sign Rice and which is their targets, they should be better than last year. Man United is still an unstable team without the takeover. Once the takeover happens and we see what they do in the market, we'll say, yes, Man United in a better position or whatever.
Which is why what Tom said earlier was correct. He said they need to be serious and go get him now, because right now the circumstances works best for them. If you get news later in the week that United got bought by Qataris or Jim or whatever, and like Don said, they're gonna come in and try to impress and make these signings and whatnot, then it becomes harder, because then like, all right, you're gonna be offered another project that might sound attractive to you. So do it now when there's no competition, which is the issue that I have with Arsenal. I feel like they never seem serious enough to get these players, these expensive players that they want. Something always happens, and they fuck about for too long, and then they lose these players. So
that's the thing. Arsenal can't let another team have like United have the chance to come in there and try to sweep in.
Because they're a serious team if they get Rice, and I even have to admit that.
Arsenal fans know this as well. If they lose out on Rice after what happened with Mihailo, now look, you could argue it was a blessing in disguise. Most Gooners publicly would say, yeah, but we've got Trossard, he's been good. But I think with what happened with him, for it to happen again with Rice, I think it would be such a bad start to their summer and their season. There would already be it's almost you'd have to start the season so well, because there'd already be a disgruntled feeling amongst the fan base, especially if it was Man United and the bad blood that's between them. It's imperative Arsenal do it for a lot of reasons. There's some super chats here. First one says from George. He says Arsenal are a much better prospect than United at this moment in time. Let's see what Erik ten Hag does next year, then we talk. I want to ask Nobbins this question, who obviously hates United as a City fan. Who do you think is the better prospect? Like right now, would you say that Arsenal are a clear and much better sort of prospect and attractive club than Man United to join?
Oh gosh, it's almost an impossible question, because so much can happen. You know, like if United get taken over, for example, and then there's unlimited funds, then in theory, then you might say them. I don't know what it's based on, but I think Arsenal might be a more exciting project, because I think it probably would be more of a challenge. But I think United would probably be a safer bet of a project, just because Ten Hag's a bit more experienced as a manager. Club historically are known to spend more than Arsenal. If they get more money, obviously that'll be furthered. So at the end of the day, it all depends totally on what Rice wants. I personally am a bit confused. I don't know where Rice's best position is, to be fair. I don't know whether he sees himself as an out-and-out 6. I don't know if he sees himself as more of a progressive box-to-box type. So it's a really tricky one, as I say. So I think if the idea is to go to Arsenal and to be the Xhaka replacement, and if he sees himself as not an out-and-out defensive midfielder, if he sees himself as more of a progressive player, then I guess Arsenal's probably the ideal choice. Because if he went to United, what would be United's midfield 3 in that situation? I don't know how old Casemiro is.
It would be Casemiro, Rice, and Bruno.
Right.
Would you play a pivot? Would you play a pivot, do you reckon, Staffy, or would you play Rice as the box to box with Bruno as like 2/8? Would you say Terry, Staffy, any of you?
So Rice would play that Eriksen role, because he's a very good ball progressor. Now the best thing about him is like when sometimes you have to play a double pivot. If you're playing a big team, let's say you're playing City away or whatever, he can fit in as another 6 next to Casemiro. But when you're trying to keep possession of the ball, he's very good on the ball as well. He's just like he's an upgrade on Eriksen, and he can actually play defense. So him being positioned as a number 8 is not an issue at all. I feel like he creates much more balance in this team, anyways, over Eriksen because Eriksen doesn't have the physical part of his game, whereas Rice is good on the ball and off the ball. Positionally, he's very aware. Defensively, he's very aware, and he's much more physical. So he would create a lot of balance to this team.
One thing I will say about Rice is that if you're playing him in a box to box, I'm not too sure about the creativity aspect of his game. He's got a very good passing range. He's good on a half turn, and he's got good defensive awareness. But when it comes to that position, like you see an Odegaard, you can create out of nothing. Rice isn't that sort of player. But one thing that Rice will do is he'll have a pop at goal from outside the box. He will definitely have a lot of long range shots. He'll get on the end of things, break down a lot of play from the front. But creativity, I wouldn't say is his strength. Like coming through the ranks, he used to play as a centre back, and then he moved into midfield, into that 6 role. So I'm not too sure about him as an 8. I'm not totally convinced, even though I think he can do that job well. I think his best position is playing
because you haven't seen him in a team that dominates the ball, which is why if he were to go to City or United or Arsenal, you would see a completely different player.
I think that's the thing with him. Dean Jones has said it for 2 years on the terrace. That when he speaks to Declan Rice's camp, they see him they don't just see him as a man that's going to sit back and protect the back line only. I think it's a bit of a mixture. I think he's one of those players that can do both. So yeah, he's never going to create like Bruno or KDB or Odegaard, but I think he'd be okay at that. But he's got great energy, great legs. I think he can play both, which is what makes him so expensive. This here says, I'm so glad Luis Enrique is not joining Spurs. He would probably say in Spanish, join Spurs. I would rather jump into a lake or coach Sevilla. Thank you, Debbie. Zeus here says, Terry, it seems like you're scraping the bottom of the barrel when you get HH on. Worst top 6 shows are when he is on. He has no idea what he is talking about and always interrupts people. HH out. Zeus.
By the way, I was watching that and I was screaming at my screen when I was
Brendan Rodgers and Tottenham are a match made in heaven. Both develop young players, play attacking football, and both bottle it when it really matters most. I hear you. This is, I don't know who he is talking about. The new Spurs manager, better than alternatives, I guess. Will this intern in Miami deal work for Barcelona financially alone for Lionel Messi? Yeah, it probably can work out that way, to be fair. Tottenham are the runt of the litter. It's simple, is what Pav says. Gosh, Chelsea fan base is the most entitled I've ever seen, is what Memphis says here. And I agree with you, but what will happen at Spurs? There is any chance that Man United will win. We'll come on to the Man United preview in just a short while. There is another link to Arsenal today as well. I want to know if anybody knows much about him. Is it young Xavi Simons, who's a very young attacking player, Dutch? I know he played at Barca and he played at PSG in terms of academies. He's now at PSV. He's had a brilliant season in the Eredivisie. They're saying young kid and wonder kid. He's 20, which isn't that young. Anyone know much about Staffy? You seem to me like a football hit. Oh, is he good?
You love saying that. No. The reason they're talking about him a lot, and if I'm wrong, someone correct me. The thing is, he was the captain of the Barca academy through like all his years. So like every time he moved up, obviously by age, he was still the captain of his team, and then eventually he got bought by the PSG. But they bought him for their academy. So when he went to PSG, I believe he was like 17, so he was still a kid. So they bought him to put him into his academy. But then we all know what happened with the PSG project, where they tried to do like a Galacticos and they were just signing players left and right. They didn't really focus on developing academy products anyways. Like those academy players would come out and they would leave the club, like Areola and Nkunku and Kingsley Coman. All these players all came from the PSG academy. So he's one of them. He was originally from Barcelona, but then he went to PSG. So he's always been known as a kid. He's like Odegaard, if you guys remember when he was 14 or he was 13, and he was like the hottest prospect on the internet in Europe. So he's one of those. Yeah. He was a wonder kid, yeah. And he finally went to PSV and he kind of like did his thing. And it was like one of those where he finally got a chance to play for, it made it easy that he was playing for a little bit of a lower team. Like, not that PSV is low in the Eredivisie, but like in terms of like, Barcelona and PSG, it was harder to break into a team like that than breaking into PSV. And he went to the World Cup, if I'm not mistaken. He went to the World Cup with only, I don't think he played, maybe played one game, but he didn't really play with them. But yeah, he's been a good kid coming up for like years now. He's been known.
What are we expecting here from Xavi Simons if he goes to Arsenal? Like,
I know almost nothing about him, so I don't really have an opinion. But I've seen a lot of Gooners online buzzing. So
He's a very good
player. Let me ask you something. When he played, I think in the Europa League this year, all I can say is that when he played in the Europa League, he caught everybody's eye. That means he's a good player. That means he's someone who has flair in him, someone who can create something. That's all I know about him. I don't watch the Eredivisie enough, but I'm just gonna think about Xavi Simons as one of these Barca kids. Like, you remember Traore, you remember Keita Baldi that went to Inter, went to Parma, and then at the end he played in the second division in Italy.
Bojan.
There is some. Yes, Bojan. There is something about
Ansu Fati they want rid of now. That guy
something about Barcelona guys that when they get rid of youngsters, I know that I don't trust them to go and have a great.
No, but they didn't get rid of them.
Remember, did he go after the money in PSG?
PSG came after him because that's the time where they were trying to be a serious club, and they wanted to sign
a 17 years old being a serious club or 18 years old.
That was the time
Barcelona were okay
to
sell him. I think Barcelona were okay to sell him. Let's just agree on something. I think Arsenal to move to the next level. Yes, he is a good player, young player, but again, he should be bought as a youngster, not a main signing. Not because you had one good season in the Eredivisie. Like you remember Bergwijn? Bergwijn had a great season at the Eredivisie. Spurs bought him. It didn't work out. If Arsenal are serious, they should go for a higher caliber player. That's what I'm saying. You're buzzing about him. Yes, he's a great player, great prospect, but again, should be just a youngster. Like when Man City sometimes buy the young kids, but they have to go through that. You have to learn from the older players. I think Arsenal fans should be buzzing about a kid like this, but again, they should demand more from the Arsenal hierarchy, to be honest.
Which you're not wrong, Mo, but that's why I keep saying two things can be right at the same time. You can get a young prospect like Xavi, and don't forget that Arteta is from that Barcelona school where there's a style of play that he identifies, and this is what he wants for his team, and this is why going for a Barcelona academy product is not the worst thing for him. However, you're correct by saying you can go ahead and get that kid, but at the same time, you still need to get a Rice. You still need to get a Caicedo. You still need to get whoever the big names they're going after this summer, because him alone is not going to shift the needle for you next season. You're not going to go from second to first because you sign Xavi Simons. He's not the difference maker between you and Man City. Declan Rice could be Caicedo. It's not even a risk, bro. Like, he can develop well into that team, and like by the time he's 23, he can be an integral part for that team. It's doable. But you can't just be putting your whole summer expectations on a kid
when I say too much of a risk, it's time for them to buy ready-made players. Is the point
exactly?
Which is why thank you so much, Don. Yes, thank you.
That's why I just said that you need a Rice and a Caicedo still. Players who have proven it in the league last season, especially Rice. There is no way. Listen, if Arsenal fans go from a Rice hype all summer, and then all of a sudden you end up with Xavi Simons, I'm sorry, that's horrible.
So Arsenal fans keep telling us we have the youngest squad. We love you. We agree with you. Now move on. Get the more experienced player on now with these young. You develop the youngsters. You challenge for the league this year. Fine. Great project. 100%. You are in the third process. The fourth step, go get established players to be with the 21 years old Saka, the 22 years old Martinelli. Get an established players. Do not get hyped about youngsters and stuff. You already have tons of them. Saliba, Gabriel is 25. Their main center, like their older center back. Go get an older player. That's what I want to say, because they're gonna go now and spend like 40 million because he is like one of the players of the season, the Eredivisie. Go spend that 40 million in a more experienced player. That's what I think. If I'm an Arsenal fan, I'm thinking this way. We have youngsters. I need older players.
100%.
It's certainly going to be interesting to see what they do. Viewers, you want to get your thoughts and your feelings. Nobbins.
Hello.
What's going to happen tomorrow? Manchester Derby, FA Cup final, biggest FA Cup final, in my opinion, in the history of the competition. Talk to me.
Right. So, I think what's going to happen is a prelude to what will happen in the Champions League final. And what I mean by that is, I think the scoreline is either going to be 3 or 4-0 to City or 1-0 to Man United. The only way I can really see this game going down, especially, with like Martial's out, for example, I believe, from United. I think Martinez is still injured as well. So United aren't at full strength, whilst I believe City don't have any injuries right now. So what should happen is that City will dominate the ball and City will pen in United in, and then United will try their best to, when City, give away the ball in midfield or whatever, they'll try to counterattack on us and try to hit us on the break. So the question is, can City deal with that counterattack? Because, for example, at Old Trafford in the first half, I don't think we did deal with it. I think that we were only in the game because Ederson saved us on a couple of times. I think Rashford probably should have scored once or twice based on those counterattacks. So it should be. I fully expect City to dominate the ball. I expect United to look to counterattack, and it's just a question mark of whether City, for me, whether City can deal with United's counterattacks. I'm assuming mainly through Rashford. I don't know exactly how the team's going to set up, and whether United's defense can deal with what is now a City team, obviously Premier League champions, full of confidence, and a very different City team to the one that went to Old Trafford, where Cancelo was still on the pitch, and now Pep seems to have finally found his best team. So what should happen is City should win, but anything can happen in football. Anything can happen in the FA Cup. Anything can happen in the FA Cup final. Anything can happen in the derby. So lots of asterisks there.
Bro, I get you're being humble, man. But if I'm a United fan tonight, I'm stressing, bro. Yeah, they've got no Martial. They're playing Rashford up top, right? They're gonna have to play Garnacho from the start because Anthony looks like he's not gonna be fit tomorrow. You've got Jadon Sancho, who's better on the right, but up against Ake Kanji, I'm sorry, he's not doing anything on that big pitch. I think you're gonna boss them in midfield because when they beat you, you weren't playing the way you're playing now.
They weren't playing 3 in the back.
Quite right. Yeah, we had Cancelo.
You weren't playing like this, right? And I know obviously against Brighton you lost, and the game before that you drew, but obviously your players are pretty much on the beach. Pep has tinkered around. Like you've said, you've got your whole team available up against this United team that's on the ropes. The only thing that can help United tomorrow is Alex Ferguson walking out and hopefully saying something to these guys about passion and whatnot. But when it comes to on the pitch, I don't see United winning this game at all. I think it's going to be at least three, maybe even 4 goals scored by City. I think it's going to be a battering.
It should be. It will definitely be a battering in terms of the play and the possession and passes, etc. But there's always going to be a question mark with United's, pace through Rashford of if you can just thread that one ball through. If Walker makes one error and then you're in, and then they take the lead.
The only thing is, Rashford up top hasn't got that technical ability like Martial. Martial is injury prone, but he can allow the ball to stick to him and actually link up with other players. And one thing about Martial and Sancho, they've got a little bit of chemistry going on there. Rashford, for me, down the middle isn't great. He's not great down the middle. They're going to be dependent on a lot of counters tomorrow. And I think you're going to keep a lot of the ball. Pep's going to say, look, basically what he did against Madrid, because Madrid are quite similar. They want to counter you, right? They'll let you have the ball and just counter you. Pep made sure that did not happen. If you watch that first half again, you squeeze Madrid in. You completely squeeze them in on that big pitch at Etihad. It's going to be the same thing again at Wembley, in my opinion. I don't see how United get anything out of this game.
Here's the thing.
Go ahead. I
was going to say, we're much more well-equipped to play on the counter than Madrid ever was. Now, I'm not saying it's going to work because the thing that I just have to accept right now, that this City team we're playing tomorrow is not the same City team that we beat at Old Trafford. They don't set up the same. That defense does not set up the same. Now, the thing is right now, yes, we are a better counterattacking team. We're a better transition team than Madrid. So, don't really use that as an example because they're not used to playing under so much pressure like that in La Liga, except for maybe when they play Barcelona. Other than that, they're not a counterattacking team. We're more equipped for that. What Ten Hag was being criticized for all season, which is not playing the Ten Hag ball in most games, actually benefits him tomorrow. Because let's say Ten Hag did play Ten Hag ball all season and he kept the ball. Tomorrow you don't keep the ball versus City. So if you don't have a plan B, you're finished. So we do have a way to play against the City team. I just think the issue is we're down to our knees with our options. Now, Anthony, they said that the chances of him playing tomorrow is very unlikely. People don't. Tomorrow, people will understand. You can call him a fidget spinner and all that stuff. It's very nice and it's very funny, but you'll understand his defensive work rate tomorrow when you see Sancho on the right just being like passed around, like it's gonna look crazy tomorrow. Because at least what this guy does, he gives you so much defensive work on the right hand side with Bissaka and whatnot. Now, the thing is that I think, okay, now it's different because I didn't want Garnacho to start. Garnacho has to start tomorrow. So the one thing that is going to give Pep something to think about, that now you don't just have to contain Rashford, you have to contain Garnacho. Because Rashford will play down the middle. City do have to play a little bit of a deeper line, their defense, just not to give them that extra 10 yards to run in behind and whatnot. But now you also have Garnacho to do that. And I don't know if playing against two players that like to run in behind and have that pace while having Bruno in that midfield is going to really like help. That's the only like hope that I see in that team, because with no Martial, you don't link up the play up top. You don't win those long balls. Like, you're not going to get that anymore. And as I said, no Anthony. Anthony's better equipped to play on the transition. Even though he's not a transition player, he's better equipped to play on the transition than Sancho. Sancho just predominantly needs the ball. So these are the only things that I'm looking at. But realistically, I'm less confident about this game more than what I already was after I saw these two injuries.
Stuffy, long story short, you're saying that the only way Man United win if Man City give them the game by making mistakes, like playing high 100%. Line. That's it. So that's what we're.
Is there anyone here logical enough to say that Manchester United
the only way Man United win is if Man City make mistakes and Pep Guardiola overthink it and all this stuff. That's
anyone with a brain would tell you that, because I can't sit here and tell you there's one thing that we can dominate City at tomorrow. If I tell you that, then I would be deluded, or I just don't understand what I'm talking about. We can't. There's not an area in the pitch where we dominate them in. The only saving grace is just that. And I just explained to you why that left wing tomorrow is essential. But yet again, Garnacho is not really ready to play 90 minutes, especially against a team like City. So the chances are very slim. I'm still back my team, don't get me wrong. But it's not looking very good.
I think tomorrow is going to depend. I think tomorrow's Jadon Sancho is going to play a big role, because I think the eyes are going to be on Bruno. The eyes are going to be on Garnacho. Kyle Walker can eat him alive, in my opinion. The kid, and I think Marcus Rashford is going to be marked. I think Jadon Sancho on the transition, if he supports Rashford very well, if he makes the right decisions, which is very unlikely to be honest, but if he makes the right decisions and if he had a good game against Nathan Ake, I think I will give Sancho a little bit of a chance, even though Nathan Ake has been absolutely fantastic. But Man United on the transition tomorrow from Jadon Sancho's side, I think they might have a chance. From that side, I think Jadon Sancho, if he has a good game, Man United will have a chance, because there's one thing that people don't keeps forgetting, that one-on-one defensively, Wan-Bissaka can stop Jack Grealish. I think Luke Shaw can stop on that other side Bernardo Silva, who had a good game, second game against Real Madrid. But remember, the first game, he didn't have a good game at all, Bernardo Silva on that side. He was dominated by Camavinga. So Luke Shaw can do a job. Casemiro, if he has a good game in the middle, I think you have a chance of closing that middle like you did in the second game when you won 2-1, even though that was a questionable goal. But you created a couple of chances before that as well. I think I would logically say that Man City should win the game, but to completely say that Man United has no chance is, I think you're just really just being too negative, in my opinion. Like, Man United will have a chance.
I just don't see it. I don't see it, Mo. I don't see it. Like Stuffy said, every area on that pitch, City are better than them. Every single area. And it's not like United have the strongest team possible available. They don't. They have Martial out. They have Anthony out. Like Stuffy just said, Sancho offers you completely defensively. Anthony offers you a lot more than what Sancho offers you. So I do think Sancho's good on the right, but I just don't think that will be enough. If you're depending on Sancho to be the game changer tomorrow, you're in trouble. You're in trouble, bro. So I don't see how Man United win this game.
Can I ask a question, Don, and anyone who thinks in the comments as well, because we've got a poll running. 72% think City will win. I'm seeing a lot of comments saying no chance, no chance. How much praise do Man United get tomorrow if they're lifting it? And how much praise, Don, are you going to give them as a football fan if Man United pull this near impossible task off of lifting the FA Cup trophy?
Listen, I'm gonna go watch Spider-Man tomorrow, Terry. Right, at cinema. I'll be on the stream beforehand, giving you guys all the props that you need before I go to the cinema, right? Because that's going to be an amazing achievement if you manage to beat this City team stop them from getting that treble, right? Because I'm not giving you a chance. I'm not giving you a chance at all. So I'll be here tomorrow if you guys beat City. Don't worry about that.
I'm asking for the reason because look, everyone's entitled to their opinion. You know, it doesn't trigger me. What I will find hilarious is everyone will say no chance, no chance. If we were to miraculously pull it off, there'd be a lot of people saying, yeah, but you should after what you've spent. That will be a big line. Yeah, but you spent this, but you did this, but you did that. And this is what I mean when people then you go, well, we overachieved then, right? Well, no, you expected to. No, people are doing right now what they did at the beginning of the season. They're giving us what they truly think. If we achieve tomorrow, it will be, yes, but you've spent this, your net spend in 8 years. Look what you've done this time, your history, your heritage. Suddenly, all of that's gone out the window. And that's what I'm liking to see. I like seeing that from people, is that right now we're seeing people's genuine beliefs about what is going to happen. And for me, look, I don't think there's anything you guys have said that isn't true. I even think, Mo, yeah, that is quite negative. I just think the way I haven't listened to a pundit talk and give United a chance yet. Now, I will admit I haven't listened to all of them. But I think Man United have got a puncher's chance. I agree with you, Mo.
Terry, we've beaten them with worse teams, so let's not act like it's not doable.
And this is the point I'm making. We have got a puncher's chance. City are the favourites. All the pressure is on City. They're chasing a treble. They just keep it in the world of the football terrace. 72% of people believe they're going to win. That is I don't think there's been a general election in this country in my lifetime that's been won by anywhere near that amount. That is beyond a landslide of opinion. Like, legitimately, when people win elections and stuff, they win it by a handful of percent normally, right? One's normally like mid-low 40s, the other one's mid-low 50s. It doesn't, mid-high 40s, mid-low 50s to win it. There's a chance there. And I'm not going to sit and break it down. I know what we need to do. I don't care about the formation. Listen, I think we should actually put Bruno on the right as an inverted winger.
No, please.
No, we should, and we should pack the midfield so that we can nullify the midfield. And then what you have is substitutes are really important. Having Garnacho from the bench maybe at 70 minutes, if we're still in this game, running. I know Kyle Walker's brilliant, but running against slightly tired legs, I think is a better option than the beginning. Bruno on the right this season's actually done quite well. It's the left-hand side where the team performed poorly. But it's about packing that midfield. And by the way, when we're not in possession, he's going to be back in that midfield as well. But you're going to get more work rate from him than you are from a Garnacho defensively, and he's more experienced. But what we have to do is nullify them as best we can defensively. We have to not concede an early goal. So we have to get through that opening 15 to 20 minutes. Because even as relentless as City are, they can't do that for 90 minutes. But they can if you concede early, because there'll be more spaces because we'll open up. We get through the opening 20 minutes without scoring. We can nullify a lot of their attack, which we've done before this season and in previous ones. Then we have a puncher's chance. We can't outplay them. We can't pass the ball through them for 90 minutes. They are so good. But I won't live in a world where there is no chance. Now, if we don't win, people go, see, no chance. That isn't what no chance means. No chance means there is not a catch chance in hell of us winning. We have beaten this City team this year. And yes, people say they've changed. They beat us 6-3. We've changed since then as well. So two can play at that game. City are the favourites, but I am predicting a 2-1 Man United win. I am backing my team to win it. I'm putting out that positive energy out there. And the biggest reason is that because everybody is writing us off and laughing at us. And we may end up being wrong. And if I'm wrong, all that's happened is the obvious has happened. The 72% has happened. But whenever in football, France playing Switzerland at the Euros, Chelsea versus Arsenal in 2017 FA Cup final, just to name two examples, and there's umpteen others. No chance, they've won. It's easy. The football gods turn up. And that's why, by the way, City fans are smart. They all know not to go no chance United because they know they don't want to tempt fate. Once upon a time, there was no chance Wigan were winning the FA Cup final. Now, look, this is a better City team. But Man United are exponentially better than a relegation team as well, right? So I don't believe in no chance. It's a final. It's a derby. And I will say this. It's going to be the most historic final in the history of this competition. It either stops. It's a derby. It can stop a treble. You've got the two biggest teams in the country right now, in my view, monetary-wise, I'm talking here, that are building, that are growing. One's already at the top. Honestly, it's the biggest final I've ever... I actually feel more nervous about this than the 99 final, and we were going for a goddamn treble, but that's going to be better than Newcastle. But
I think it's a take.
Let's see what
I think anybody that says Man United don't have any chance and they don't want to like talk about it, it's just a lazy take. Yeah, it's easy. Okay, Man City are the better team. Logically, we know that. But look, I really echo what Nobin said. He said, theoretically, on paper, we are a better team, but it's a derby. This is a final. Man United are still a team with good players. Some of them are better in their positions. Like Wan-Bissaka, people said he's better, the best 1-1 defender. They said David De Gea is the best shot stopper in the league. People said that. He's not going to be asked to play from the back tomorrow. He's going to be asked to stop the shots. This is what's going to be. They said Luke Shaw deserved to be team of the season on the left. You guys keep telling it. They said Varane is world-class Varane, Champions League Varane. So you have players. Man United have players. Ten Hag have players.
But by the way, I will say this. City also can slap us up 3-4-5-0. I'm not sitting here believing that's not a possibility. We concede early and our heads go on that big Wembley pitch. There's trouble. So I'm not denying that that can happen. I just don't live in a world where there's no chance we win. I've seen too many shocks in the 37 years I've been watching football to go into this game. Yes, I'm nervous, but to go into it and think that's it. We might as well not turn up tomorrow. The Man United fans might as well not go. None of you better tune in then. What's the point? That you know the result already. Barring being a sort of bit sadistic and watching Man United get battered, there's no point. And you guys are all tuning in your heart of hearts, away from the camera, when you're not tweeting and looking to banter. You're like, City will probably win. But you're tuning in because it's a football final when anything can happen. That is why we love this game. It's not like a Beyonce concert. You know it's going to be brilliant. It's not like a comedy show that you know with your favorite comedian, Kevin Hart. It's going to be funny. It's not like going to watch an Avengers movie. You know what's going to happen. Starts off and something bad happens. They look like they won't be able to save the day. And at the end, they save the day, right? Those things are great. But with football, the unknown is why we love it. And that's what I'm betting on tomorrow.
The only thing that we know, just one thing, Don. The only thing that we know that is not going to happen tomorrow is Man United are not going to batter Man City. That's the only thing we know. It's never going to happen tomorrow. But anything else can happen.
Again, I get that notion. Anything can happen, right? United, like I said, they can go into the tomorrow, passion. They want to stop that treble. So anything can happen, right? But I'm looking at it on the pitch tactically and the circumstances both teams are currently facing right now. The fact that United are missing players, the fact that Man City have a full team. Nobbins, I don't know if anyone's injured. Is there anyone injured right now in your team?
We're fully fit now, according to Pep.
Fully fit. We're talking about a team that's got an incentive to win a treble. We're talking about a team managed by one of the greatest manager, arguably, that we've seen. Looking at all of that, I just don't see how Man United win tomorrow.
No, mate, I hear
but
you.
We know that Ederson is not going to play. That's already public information.
Yeah, I don't. Again, I'm not believing anything, right?
Who's not playing?
No, he literally said in the press conference that Ortega is going to start.
I get you. I am not. Listen, by the way,
Ortega, oh my God,
he's a good goalkeeper. I'm not believing it until I see the players walking out for the national anthem.
I didn't even know that.
And the greatest football song of all time, Abide with Me. Until I hear that and I see him on the pitch, I don't believe it. Equally, we don't know who is and isn't injured at Man United because they've done something very strange, which I think they should always do. I hate knowing the travelling squad. It kind of lets you know who's in the starting lineup. The team left Carrington and travelled to London, and it's all been behind blacked out windows in vans. So that could just be to protect the Anthony starting. Listen, do you know what I'm really hoping for when the announcement comes out tomorrow? I'm hoping, look, Martinez is on the pitch, that he's legs okay. Like, I'm praying. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. As much as I believe we can win, I get everything you guys are saying, but we'll see what happens tomorrow. It's going to be a brilliant final. Viewers, you want to get your score predictions in right now, please. Get your comments in. United have no chance, my man says here. There we go. I love it. Score predictions, Staffy, what are you going with?
Not hope. Predictions, please.
No, not hope. You know what, Simo? I can't predict the loss. It's just like I can't. I'm not going to go on a YouTube channel in front of thousands or hundreds of people watching and say we're going to lose tomorrow. So I won't. I went on this channel 2 weeks ago. There's a very good clip of me saying that we will win the FA Cup final. So I'm not about to backtrack now. I'm going to keep the same energy. So I'm going to say 2-1 Man United. However, if we win tomorrow, and I'm going to look in the camera when I'm talking to everyone who's watching us right now. If we win tomorrow, after everything you guys said about us, tune in to the match reaction. Because if you hate me, you'll hate me even more tomorrow. And if you like me, I promise you.
Put him on the big screen. Put him on the big screen.
No, hold on. If you love me tomorrow, I'm gonna give you more reasons. See, now it looks sus because I just talked about that. If you showed the whole clip, it would have been nice. But I'm gonna look at the camera and say, just tune in tomorrow because I'm gonna be unbearable for some of you guys. And if you're a fan of me, you'll love me even more tomorrow. So let's go United. 2-1.
I like that. I want to just react to the zombie. He says you kind of have to accept that they are better team though, Terry, and respect the strength. I've said nothing. Yeah, a zombie fanatic. I want to be really respectful to you. I don't believe there's a thing that I've said that would allude to or imply that I think Man United are even their equal in terms of personnel, manager, or quality right now. I completely accept that they've got the ability to batter us 4 or 5-0, and we don't have the ability to batter them 4 or 5-0 unless we get a penalty in the opening minutes and their keeper's sent off. And we're down. That's the only way. So I know City are better than us. What I'm talking about is this prerequisite, only one possible outcome talking football. Sport has proven that isn't the case at times. So, yeah, of course I know City are better. Don, what's your prediction, bro?
I'm going to say 3-1 City.
Might take that before kickoff. Mo, what are you saying?
I did the same. 3-1 City. I've been saying it's 3-1. That predicts 3-1 Man City.
Nobbins.
I know I said everything I said about how anything can happen, but I like to think I'm a logical person. So all I can do is base it off logic. We've battered much better teams than United this season. We've battered Arsenal, and we've battered Real Madrid, and we've battered Bayern. We haven't yet conceded a goal in the FA Cup this season. So Ortega will be playing, but that man hasn't actually conceded a goal yet.
You haven't conceded in the FA Cup this season?
No, not yet.
My God.
The last team to do that and win was Bury in 1903. So I predict we'll do the same. And as I say, I've got to predict based on
14-0.
3-0.
I like all your predictions. I think they're all fair. I'm going to go. This is purely, what is it? What's the saying? Like 1% faith. Like, is it 99% chance?
99%. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, 99,
yeah. 2-1 Man United. And if I can pick, if God is going to shine down upon me this evening and go, Terry Fleurs, you can pick the result and the last goal scorer. 2-1 United win with the match winner to be Weghorst. I'd love it. Just for the banter. Just imagine Weghorst stops a treble. That would be a pub question in years to come.
Someone said, "Why are you watching Spider-Man tomorrow?" I'm taking my nephew in the evening, so I'm gonna come on the stream before I go out. If Man United win, all right.
There we go.
I really want Casemiro to score a goal tomorrow.
I want Sancho to score.
I keep saying, I don't know. I keep picturing Casemiro scoring a goal tomorrow. For some
reason.
Even if you lose,
maybe I've got some super chats here. First one says, "I just don't want the song." City, they tore United apart again. It's catching. Yeah, they copied our song there of gigs.
Can I just say we actually sing City tearing Cockneys apart again? Just an FYI.
Oh, is that what you sing?
We still United, yeah.
We said, yeah, I like it. As was Get Back Giggsy, you stole it. United will win because nobody believes they will, is what JEZ says. I hope so, brother. Blaze says, why do you keep talking about the controversial 2-1 game when City clearly battered them 6-3 later on with Haaland and Foden getting hat-tricks? No chance.
Sorry to disappoint you. The 6-3 was before the 2.
There's always a chance.
Yeah, I mean, I think the reason why it comes up, Blaze, is because there's always a chance, and United have beaten City this season. So the players will go into the game knowing they have the ability to beat them. That's what we're talking about. But equally, again, the only bit of your statement that is an opinion that isn't factually true is the no chance part. But there we go. The only way we can win is to set up in a midfield block and pin their wing backs back like we did last time the bus traveled with tinted windows. So Anthony, yeah, I hope so. I actually saw a comment from someone saying 90 million for Anthony. He's got the good defensive work. Look, we know he's got to do more attacking wise, but let's not act like imagine if Grealish and whoever plays outright right didn't track back for City, they'd concede so many more goals. Like the defensive shape players take up is so important in these systems nowadays. I hope it's not 7-0. Listen, we get beat something like that in an FA Cup final. I'm not even going to say what I think, but anyway.
7 is the end of my YouTube career. You won't see me again.
Gnabry could be available. Arteta apparently keen. Yeah, I have read that, but I told everybody 3 or 4 years ago, Gnabry was a one-season wonder. He ain't that good. He ain't that good. I agree with you, but we've already done that super chat. Thank you very much indeed. Carl, this is out from Jacob Steinbeck, by the way, who said that Bayern Munich manager has spoken to Declan Rice, but the West Ham captain is reluctant to leave England and Arsenal remains favourite to sign him. Just updating that story from earlier. Viewers, I want to say a big thank you to all of you. My super chatters, you're amazing. My members, you're brilliant. My panel tonight, absolutely exceptional. As always, we're back tomorrow morning with some more content. I don't know what it'll be about yet. We'll see what's trending. We'll see what needs to be discussed. And of course, and I'm actually really happy to put FA Cup final at 3 p.m. on a Saturday afternoon. Bring back more football traditions. Make football great again is what I say. It's already great, by the way. But yeah, I love it. 3 p.m. kickoff. Perfect time of the day. Doesn't get in the way of your evening. Means you have a nice little morning. Taking the kids out for a bit of food before as well. They're too young to understand what it's all about. But I'll be telling them. Listen, thank you, everybody. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again very, very soon.